And hello and good evening. Welcome to another live stream, a Major League Baseball live stream tonight as we are in the final week of the regular season in Major League Baseball. It is the Mets and the Cubs tonight from Wrigley Field on a Wednesday night with 5 games left to go in the regular season in Major League Baseball. Second of a 3-game series between these two teams, which we'll talk about momentarily. But first, I do want to start off with a prayer. Lord Jesus, thank you for this day. Please, thank you for looking over us, and please look over the players tonight, Lord, and keep everyone safe. As we ask this in your name, Lord, we pray. Amen. Mets and Cubs. The Mets currently hold the final wild card spot in the National League by 1 game over both the Reds and the Diamondbacks. The Cubs clinched a playoff spot last Wednesday with their win over the Pirates, and it's a good thing they clinched that day because they have not won since. The Cubs are currently on a 5-game losing streak since clinching that playoff spot at their win over the Pirates last Wednesday, so they're going into a funk heading into postseason play here as they were swept in 4 straight by the Reds in Cincinnati this weekend, and saw the Mets come back on them last night to win 9-7 in Game 1 of this series. So the Cubs look to break this 5-game losing streak. They're going to send to the hill tonight. It's going to be Matthew Boyd for the Cubs. He's going to be going up against Jonah Tong, taking the hill for the Mets tonight. As I mentioned, the Mets are currently currently have the third and final wild card spot in the National League by 1 game over the Reds and the Diamondbacks. Reds currently in progress at home against the Pirates. Pirates leading that game 1-0. That game in the top of the 6th inning. Pirates won last night over the Reds. The Mets and Reds entered tied for that final wild card spot yesterday. The Mets won, the Reds lost. So the Mets are a game up again on the Reds. They were also a game up on the Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers last night 5-4 to stay 1 back of the Mets for that final wild card spot. Diamondbacks in action in about an hour and a half against the Dodgers. So 5 games left to decide who will get this final playoff spot in the National League. 2 spots have been clinched, but 1 spot remains. It's going to be the Mets, the Reds, or the Diamondbacks. Mathematically, the Marlins and the Giants are still alive, but realistically, it's going to be either the Mets, the Reds, or the Diamondbacks for that final spot. Mets are going to send this lineup tonight against Matthew Boyd. Francisco Lindor, the shortstop, will lead off. Juan Soto in right field will bat second. Pete Alonso at first base bats third. Starling Marte DHing tonight in the cleanup spot. Vientos at third base will bat fifth. Brendan Nimmo in left field bats sixth. Alvarez catching tonight. He'll bat seventh. McNeil at second base bats eighth. And Taylor in center field will bat ninth. And Matthew Boyd, as I mentioned, going to the hill tonight for the Cubs to try and snap this losing streak. Matthew Boyd, the ace for the Cubs, he's entering 13-8 on the season, ERA of 3.2. He's walked 41, struck out 151 in 171 and a third innings. So the Cubs go into their ace to try and get out of this funk. Matthew Boyd leading the Cubs in wins, ERA, and strikeouts as they look to get back on track. And the Mets, meanwhile, needing to win as much as they can with the Reds and the Diamondbacks just a game behind them. I will keep an update on that Pirates-Reds score as this game goes on, and the Pirates have just added a run in the 6th inning. So the Pirates now lead the Reds 2-0. So some insurance there. So good news there for the Mets. The Mets wrap up the regular season with a series against the Marlins this weekend. The Reds this weekend have a series in Milwaukee. Milwaukee's already won the division. And the Diamondbacks wrap up the regular season with a series in San Diego. So that's These three teams that are fighting for this final wild card spot, that's who they wrap up with this weekend, all divisional series for all three of those teams. So we get set to go on a Wednesday night at Wrigley Field. 66 degrees at first pitch. A warm late September at the Friendly Confines on the north side of Chicago. As the Mets and the Cubs battle for the second of a three-game series, they wrap up this series tomorrow night at Wrigley Field. And again, the Reds trailing the Pirates 2-0. That game is heading to the bottom of the sixth inning. The Reds, this is a series against the Pirates that you need to take if you're the Reds. They lost the opener last night. So we are just about set to go, as it is going to be Francisco Lindor to lead off tonight for the Mets. Lindor on the season is hitting .268. He's got 29 home runs. He's drove in 83. He's second on the Mets in home runs. I'm sorry, third on the Mets in home runs. But he's leading the Mets in hitting with 168 hits this year. As the warm-up being completed here, as Francisco Lindor will step to the plate to begin this one. This will be my final regular season live stream of Major League Baseball. I will be on for with the live stream Tuesday night for the wild card round. Not sure which games it'll be yet. It's going to depending on the times and everything. So Matthew Boyd going to the hill to try to get the Cubs out of this 5-game losing streak. They come in 88-69 on the season. And we are set to go at Wrigley. First pitch is in the air to the right side and foul, and that's how this game begins. Mets come in 81-76. Here's the strike one pitch. Lindor shows bunt, takes outside, 1-1. Boyd's 1-1 pitch. Lindor takes outside, the count now 2-1. Two-one pitch. Swing and a miss by Francisco Lindor. Counts now 2-2. And time called before this next pitch by the home plate umpire tonight, which is DJ Rayburn. Sean Barber over at first base, James Hoy at second base, and John Lipka over at third base. 2-2 pitch. Lindor fouls it off to stay alive. Other games affecting other races in action tonight as well. We'll get you updated on those. 2-2 pitch again to Lindor is fouled back. Two-two delivery. Soto pops it up. Foul ground, first base side. That is playable, and the catch made over there by Bush. And that's the first out of this ball game. Brings up Juan Soto. Soto hitting at 267, 42 home runs. He's drove in 104. He leads the Mets in home runs. Soto steps up, and the pitch from Boyd. Outside, ball one. One 0 pitch is at the knees for strike one, 1-1, the count on Soto. One is a bouncer to second on one hop. Easy throw over to Bush. And there's out number 2 in the Mets' first inning, which will bring up Pete Alonso. Alonso hitting 273, 37 home runs. He's drove in 123. He's the Mets' RBI leader and the leader in batting average. Pitch to Alonso is a strike. Mets collectively as a team this year hitting 251. Here's the strike one pitch. Alonso fouls it back, and he's quickly in an 0-2 hole. Oh, 2 pitches, foul. Oh, 2 pitch from Boyd to Alonso. Swing and a miss. And the Mets are retired 1-2-3 in the top of the first. We go to the bottom of the first. Mets nothing, and the Cubs are coming to bat as they will face off against Jonah Tong, getting the start in this one for the Mets. Tong just his 5th appearance of the season and his 5th start. 2-2 record. 5.94 ERA, a little inflated. Seven walks, 21 strikeouts in 16 2/3 innings. He will face this Cubs lineup. Bush at first base will lead off. Horner at second base will bat second. Ian Happ in left field bats third. Ballesteros DHing tonight. He bats cleanup. Suzuki in right field will bat 5th. Carson Kelly, the catcher, batting 6th. Pete Crow Armstrong in center field in the number 7 spot tonight. Dansby Swanson, the shortstop, will bat 8th. And Shaw at third base will bat 9th as that rounds out the Cubs batting order in this one in a scoreless game as we head to the bottom of the first. Other games with pennant race implications on them. The one in Cleveland, the Tigers in Cleveland, a 2-1 Cleveland lead in the top of the 4th inning. Cleveland led Detroit by 15 games in the AL Central back at the end of July, 1st of August. With Cleveland's win last night, Cleveland tied them. And this is for outright first place in the AL Central. Marlins trail the Phillies 6-1. Marlins' elimination number is 2, but they, boy, for that payroll, for them to have stayed in the race as long as they have is pretty remarkable. And the Giants will be eliminated with one more loss or one more Mets win. They host the Cardinals later on. First pitch, bottom one, is outside for a ball. As Michael Busch is the batter. And Busch takes a strike at the knees. Busch on the season hitting .254. 30 home runs. He's drove in 82. He is the Cubs' home run leader. Here comes the 1-1 pitch from Tong. That's right down the middle. Strike two. A ball and 2 strikes. Tong's 1-2 pitch to Busch. And here it is. That just missed the outside corner. Counts even now, 2-2. Two on the way. That is lined into right center. That's a gapper. That's going to be at least 2 for Busch. And Busch will hold up at second with a leadoff double here in the bottom of the first inning. And a good start for the Cubs tonight. And it will bring up Nico Hoerner. Hoerner hitting .302, 6 home runs. He's drove in 60. He is the Cubs' leader in batting average and hits. So an early scoring chance for the Cubs in this one. And Hoerner fouls this back for strike 1. Busch the lead from second. And the 0-1 pitch to Hoerner. Downstairs, a ball and a strike. One pitch. That's low. Check swing to first. No swing. No swing, said the first base umpire, Sean Barber. So that's now 2-1 count to Hoerner. Two-one pitch is a strike, 2-2. That pitch on just missed the outside corner to fill the count, 3-2. Three-two payoff. That's ball 4, and it puts runners at first and second with 1 out for the Cubs here in the bottom of the first. And it will bring up Ian Happ. Happ hitting .241, 23 home runs. He's drove in 76. First and second, nobody out for the Cubs here in the bottom of the first. Tong's pitch down the middle for strike 1. Oh, 1 pitch. Inside, that'll even the count, a ball and a strike. They have moved to the top of the 7th in Cincinnati. Pirates still lead the Reds 2-0. So the Reds come in a game behind the Mets for that final wild card spot, trying not to drop the first two to the Pirates. Tong looks in and delivers the 1-1 pitch to Ian Happ. That's low, 2-1 now. Here comes the 2-1. That's inside, now 3-1 on Ian Happ. Brewers won today in San Diego, 3-1. Brewers have already wrapped up the Central. But that is win number 96 for the Brewers. That is a new franchise record. To 3-1 to Tong to Happ is foul, and that will fill the count, 3-2. As the Cubs threaten here in the bottom of the first inning. Bush at second base, Horner on at first base. And Tong gets set to deliver the full count pitch to Ian Happ. And here it is. Happ rips it foul, and we will do it again. This will be the 7th pitch of the at-bat coming to Ian Happ. Tong gets set again. And gets set to deliver another full count pitch to Ian Happ. Here it comes. And again, it's foul. So this will be the 8th pitch of the at-bat. Pitch number 8 of this at-bat from Tong to Ian Happ. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. And Tong ends up winning the battle. And that's 1 out here in the bottom of the first. A big first out for Jonah Tong. Brings up the DH Ballesteros for the Cubs. Ballesteros hitting .261. 2 home runs. He's drove in 9. Tong looks in at Ballesteros and delivers. Instead, it's a turn and throw back to second. Bush dives back in safely. Bush, not a real big stolen base threat over at second base. He's only got 4 on the season. The pitch. On the ground, up the middle, base hit. Here comes the throw home. Bush rounding third. He is safe at the plate. And immediately, it looks like the Mets. Alvarez looked over to the Mets dugout and said, "I challenged that." I think he thought he had him. And let's see if the Mets challenge this. As looking at the replay. Oh, yeah, I think he... Well, did he get his hand in there just at the last minute? That's close. Here's another angle from behind. Oh, I think he's out. I think he put the tag down just before the tag. Here's another angle. This is pretty much right above home plate they're showing. Well, the umpire is kind of blocking there. That one angle behind home plate looks like the tag is down just before the hand got into the plate. And the Mets have asked for a review here in the first inning. So it has to be indisputable. I think Alvarez got the tag down just before Bush. I think this is going to get overturned. That angle behind home plate, the one that shows they've slowed it down now, and now I'm even more sure that he's out. And they have overturned it. Bush is out. What a throw by Taylor in center field, as it was a strike to the plate. And Bush is out to keep this game scoreless. 2 outs now with runners at first and second. Suzuki the batter, and he takes strike one. Suzuki hitting .242 on the year, 27 home runs. He's drove in 92. He leads the Cubs in RBIs. Strike one pitch is a bouncer to third, and the play unassisted over to third base for Vientos, and that wraps up the bottom of the first. Cubs get the first 2 on, but do not bring anybody home. And after one at Wrigley, it's the Mets nothing and the Cubs nothing, thanks to a defensive play to gun down Bush at home, as we are scoreless heading to the second. Update on my live stream schedule. This is the last regular season Major League Baseball game I will be live streaming. I will be on for the Major League Baseball playoffs, which get underway on Tuesday. I will be on Tuesday sometime, not sure when yet, for a wild card game in the MLB playoffs. Also, we'll be on with you again on Saturday. 2 college football live streams on Saturday. Starts with an FCS matchup, number 10 Lehigh against Penn. And then we'll be on with you later Saturday evening. It's been torn if it's going to be Oregon, Penn State, or if it's going to be Alabama, Georgia. And thinking it's going to be the Alabama-Georgia game that I'll be live streaming on Saturday night. Almost, maybe not even almost, possible playoff elimination game for Alabama. They had that earlier loss this season in week 1 to Florida State, so this would be a second loss for Alabama. So that is the 2 college football games on the live stream on Saturday. As we go back to this, 0-0, Mets and Cubs, as we head to the top of the second inning. Cleanup hitter for the Mets, Starling Marte, will lead it off here in the top of the second. Marte hitting .278 on the season, 9 home runs. He's drove in 34. DHing tonight for the Mets in that cleanup spot. First pitch, top 2, outside, ball 1. One-0 pitch, swing and a miss by Marte. Counts evened up, a ball and a strike. So despite the 5-game losing streak, as here's the 1-1 pitch to Marte and takes a strike. Despite the 5-game losing streak right now for the Cubs, they do still own the number 1 wild card spot. As here comes the 1-2 pitch. A bouncer to third on one hop, and the throw across the diamond in plenty of time to retire Starling Marte, and that's the first out here in the top of the second. And the batter will be Mark Vientos. Vientos hitting .235, 17 home runs. He's drove in 60. And the pitch to Vientos misses outside for ball 1. 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. Counts even 1-1 on Vientos. One pitch from Boyd to Vientos. Outside, 2-1. Here comes the 2-1. Swing and a miss. 2-2. 2-2 pitch. Foul back. May have swung at ball 3 there. Two pitch. Bounced foul, and that keeps the count even at 2-2. Two popped up foul. Is it playable? It is not, and that'll reach the seats. Vientos steps back in and awaits another 2-2 pitch from Boyd. Here it is. Outside. No. Oh, they say Vientos went around according to the first base umpire, Sean Barber. And Vientos is out number 2. Yep, he sure did on the replay. I thought he held up in real time, but on the replay, he did not. Out number 2, and it will bring up Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo hitting .261 on the season, 25 home runs. He's drove in 91. And Nimmo takes outside for ball 1. 1-0 pitch. That misses, and it's 2-0. Two-0 pitch. Outside, it's 3-0 to Nimmo. Three-0 pitch. Nimmo taking all the way and takes it on the outside corner. Counts now 3-1. Three-1. Nimmo swings away here and grounds it to first. A little bit of a bobble. The throw in time to Boyd to get Nimmo. And for the second straight inning, the Mets are retired. 1-2-3. We head to the bottom of the second inning. Mets and Cubs, no score. Cubs will have Kelly, Pete Crow Armstrong, and Dansby Swanson due up here in the bottom of the second inning. Update on some of those games involving pennant races, it's still 2-0 Pirates over the Reds, top of the 8th inning. Cleveland still leading the Tigers 2-1, top of the 5th. The winner of that game is in first place by solo in the American League Central. Phillies have jumped out now 10-1 over the Marlins. 2 more home runs tonight for Kyle Schwarber. And again, the Diamondbacks, who are chasing the Mets for that final wild card spot, they host the Dodgers later. So here we get set to go to the bottom of the 2nd inning as the Cubs, who still have that number 1 wild card spot despite this 5-game losing streak. It's going to be the catcher, Carson Kelly, leading it off in the bottom of the 2nd for the Cubs. Kelly on the season hitting .252, 17 home runs. He's drove in 50. As the Cubs squandered a scoring opportunity in the 1st inning, they had runners at 1st and 2nd with nobody out. As Taylor from center field threw out Michael Busch trying to score from 2nd on a single. As we head to the bottom half of the 2nd inning on a Wednesday night at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Cubs wrap up the regular season this weekend at home against their rival Cardinals. And then the Major League Baseball playoffs begin on Tuesday with the wild card round, which is now best of 3, which I'm glad to see that. I never did like the wild card. You played 162 games, and then the wild card was one and done. So I'm glad they changed that to at least the best of 3. First pitch, bottom 2 is a strike. A 1 pitch right down the middle for strike 2. It's quickly 0-2 on Kelly. Oh, 2 pitch from Tong to Kelly. Upstairs, a ball and 2 strikes. I failed to mention this one in the pennant races. The Mariners in action later on against the Rockies. A Mariners win or an Astros loss wins the AL West for the Mariners. 1-2 pitch. Kelly sends in the air to center. It's playable out there in center field, and the catch made by Taylor for the first out in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And it will bring up Pete Crow Armstrong, the fine young phenom for the Cubs. Hitting .246 on the season, 29 home runs. He's drove in 90. Of course, the 2 scores the Mets are really keeping their eye on, or they're probably not keeping their eye on because they don't want to really be aware. The Pirates and Reds and the Dodgers and Diamondbacks, which gets underway later. Swing and a miss by Pete Crow Armstrong for strike 1. Strike 1 pitch, swing and a miss, and Armstrong quickly down in the count, 0-2. Here comes the strike 2 pitch. Pete Crow Armstrong sends it to center again, and there's Taylor. He's getting a workout out there in center field. There's the 2nd out. Brings up Dansby Swanson. Hitting .245, 23 home runs. He's drove in 76 on the year. And strike 1 to Dansby Swanson. Strike one pitch. Swanson swings and misses. He's quickly down 0-2. Strike two pitch from Tong to Swanson. Fouled away, and he stays alive. O2 pitch from Tong to Swanson. Bounce foul, hits Swanson in the box to stay alive at 0-2. Swanson awaits another 0-2 pitch from Tong. And here it is. Swanson in the air to center. Taylor's going to get all three putouts in the bottom of the second inning. And the Cubs retired in order, 1-2-3. We head to the third at Wrigley. Mets and Cubs, no score. Be the 7, 8, and 9 hitters for the Mets here in the top half of the third inning. So the wild card round will be Tuesday, Wednesday, and then, if necessary, Thursday next week. And then the division series will start that following Saturday. That's how the playoff schedule is set up. And who will be the 12 teams involved in the postseason? 6 in each league. We know 5 of them in the National League. We're waiting for that one final spot to be clinched. It's going to be either the Mets, the Reds, or the Diamondbacks. Again, Marlins, Cardinals, Giants are still mathematically alive, but they have to have a lot happen. Those 3 teams, Marlins aren't helping themselves tonight either. But so realistically, it's going to be the Mets, the Reds, or the Diamondbacks for that final spot in the National League. And the American League, the most amazing thing is what Cleveland's doing right now. They were 15 games back at the end of July or 1st of August. If they finish off this win over the Tigers tonight, Cleveland is going to take the lead in the American League Central. They are just on some kind of run, and they lead the Tigers 2-1 in the bottom of the 5th inning. Other scores, this doesn't involve the playoff race, but the Braves' 10-game winning streak came to an end today as the Nationals won it down in Atlanta 4-3. As mentioned, the Brewers beat the Padres 3-1. That sets a franchise record for the Brewers with their 96th win of the season. But here we go as we head to the top of the third inning. 7, 8, 9 for the Mets. Alvarez, the catcher for the Mets, will lead off the top of the third inning. Alvarez hitting at .258, 10 home runs. He's drove in 30. First pitch, top 3. Inside corner, strike 1 to Alvarez. Alvarez, the Mets catcher. O2 pitch on the way from Boyd to Alvarez. And here it is. Downstairs, a ball and 2 strikes now, the count on Alvarez. 1-2 pitch. outside, and that will even the count rather, 2-2 on Alvarez. 2-2 pitch. Inside, just missed the inside corner, and Alvarez has battled back from being down 0-2 to a full count now, 3-2. And here's the payoff pitch. That's foul, and we will do it again. Here comes another 3-2 payoff pitch to Alvarez. Inside, ball 4, and Alvarez is the first Mets base runner as he draws a leadoff walk here in the top of the third. We'll bring up the Mets second baseman, Jeff McNeil. McNeil coming in hitting .249, 12 home runs, drove in 53 on the season. Alvarez, the leadoff man on here at first for the Mets in the third. And a throw over to first base. Just keeping Alvarez honest over there. He does not have a stolen base the entire season. He's a catcher, so obviously he doesn't run with a whole lot of speed. That was just a keep him honest throw over there at first. The pitch is in the air to left center field, hit pretty well. Just on the edge of the warning track out there in left center field, the catch made by Pete Crow Armstrong for out number 1. We'll bring up the number 9 hitter for the Mets, Taylor. Tyrone Taylor on the year hitting .218. 2 home runs. He's drove in 25. And here's the pitch. Little inside and high, ball 1. One-oh pitch. Taylor sends it in the air, right field. Medium depth out there in right field. Catch made for out number 2. Suzuki with the grab. And we're back to the top of the order for the Mets in Francisco Lindor. Lindor 0 for 1. Runner at first, 2 outs for the Mets here in a scoreless third inning. The pitch on the way is a strike on the outside corner. Couple of score updates in those pennant races tell you about here at the inning break. Here's the strike 1 pitch inside. That'll even the count, a ball and a strike. Lindor looks in. And Boyd delivers the 1-1 pitch. And Lindor calls time. Alvarez at first. He drew a leadoff walk to lead off the top of this inning. Big crowd on hand at Wrigley Field on a Wednesday night. Here's the 1-1 pitch. That's right down the middle for strike 2. A ball and 2 strikes now. One-two pitch. Downstairs, that bounced up there. 2-2 now. Lindor steps back in. And the 2-2 pitch from Boyd to Lindor on the way. Lindor rips that one foul. It'll stay 2-2. Boyd is nearing the 50 pitch mark here in the third inning. Here's a 2-2 pitch to Lindor. A bouncer to second. This is going to be a tough play with Lindor's speed. The throw just gets him by a step at first base. And that'll do it in the top of the third for the Mets. Alvarez looking to see if he wants to challenge, and he says, or Mendoza, rather, excuse me, the Mets manager, looking to see if he wants to challenge, and it doesn't look like it. Or is he? No, he is not. Mets done in the third. We go to the bottom of the third. It's still 0-0, Mets and Cubs. It'll be 9-1-2 in the Cubs lineup. Shaw, and then the top of the order, Bush and Horner here in the bottom of the third inning. Said there's a couple of score updates in those pennant race games to tell you about. One of them's the game in Cleveland. Detroit and Cleveland in that tie in the atop the American League Central. Cleveland's added an insurance run. They now lead the Tigers 3-1. That game is headed to the 6th at Progressive Field in Cleveland. Cleveland trying to finish off just an absolute division comeback for the ages if they end up winning the American League Central. They were down 15 games at the beginning of August. They were down 11 games at the beginning of this month. And if they win tonight, they take the outright lead in the American League Central. Also, an update in Cincinnati. The Reds got on the board in the bottom of the 8th inning. So the Reds now within a run of the Pirates, 2-1. And the Reds still batting in the bottom of the 8th inning. Again, the Diamondbacks, who are also a game back of the Mets, they're in action here in about 45 minutes away from first pitch between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. And again, in the American League West, the Mariners host the Rockies. The Astros are playing the A's. A Mariners win or an Astros loss clinches the American League West for the Mariners. So still a lot to be decided in these final 5 days of the regular season in Major League Baseball. The Cubs already know they're in. They're not going in the playoffs exactly on a high note right now as they come in on a 5-game losing streak. The Mets are trying to get there. As we head to the fourth. Excuse me, we head to the bottom of the third, I beg your pardon. Matt Shaw leading it off for the Cubs. Number 9 hitter. First pitch is ball 1. Shaw hitting on the season .224. He's got 12 home runs. He's drove in 42. Tong's 1-0 pitch. That's a strike. That'll even the count, a ball and a strike. One pitch. Swing and a miss by Matt Shaw. That'll make the count 1-2, rather. One-two pitch downstairs. Now the count's even 2-2. Two-two pitch on the way to the number 9 hitter, Matt Shaw. And here it is. Shaw lines this one over second and into right center field for a base hit. And Shaw starts off the bottom of the third with the leadoff single. That was just out of the reach of McNeil at second base. And we're back to the top of the order for the Cubs and Michael Busch. Busch singled to lead off the bottom of the first, and he was thrown out on that play at home plate. On that throw from Taylor, that was a strike to home plate that gunned down Busch. Shaw at first with the leadoff single in a scoreless bottom of the third. And Tong's pitch to Busch. Instead, it's a throw to first. Shaw dives back in safely. Shaw, a little bit of a stolen base threat over there. He's got 16 on the year. And I beg your pardon, Busch doubled to lead off the bottom of the third. I think I said singled. Takes one on the outside corner here for strike one. Strike one pitch. That's downstairs. That'll even the count a ball and a strike on Busch. Nico Hoerner, the on-deck hitter. One pitch on the way. Instead, time called. Tong looks in at Busch and delivers the 1-1, and again time called by the home plate umpire. And actually, this is going to be a pitch clock violation. So that'll be a ball. So now it's 2-1. And here's the pitch. Busch hits it foul, first base side. That'll even the count 2-2. Shaw retreats back to first base. Tong looks in at Busch. And here comes the 2-2 pitch. Downstairs, and that will fill the count 3-2. With nobody outs and Shaw with 16 stolen bases, let's see if he gets sent. The payoff pitch on the way to Busch. Upstairs, ball 4, first and second, nobody out for the Cubs in the bottom of the third, and it'll bring up Nico Hoerner. Hoerner walked his first time up. This is the same situation the Cubs had in the first inning, first and second, nobody out. They could not score in the first. Let's see if they do here in the third. Pitch to Hoerner, outside, ball 1. Shaw at second, Busch at first. That's hit into left field for a base hit. Shaw at third is going to hold right there. And the Cubs have the bases loaded and nobody out here in the bottom of the third for Ian Happ. So the Cubs, a huge scoring chance here in the third inning as they have them loaded with nobody out. So here's Ian Happ, who struck out his first time up against Tong. We got a meeting on the mound here. Pitching coach Jeremy Hefner going out to have a word with Tong on the mound. As Tong in quite the situation here, bases loaded, nobody out for the Cubs. An excellent chance to get on the scoreboard first here tonight. Here we go. Tong to Ian Happ. Here's the pitch. Downstairs, ball one. Shaw at third. Bush at second. Horner at first. Here's the 1-0. That caught the outside corner for strike one. Counts even 1-1. 1-1 pitch to Ian Happ. On the ground, that's fair. On the first base line, that'll score two. Shaw is in, Bush is in. 2-run double for Ian Happ. 2-0 Cubs in the third. They don't squander the scoring opportunity this time in the third, as Happ's run double brings 2 runs home for the Cubs. And still nobody out. And it will bring up the DH and the cleanup hitter, Ballesteros. That's double number 31 on the season for Ian Happ. Ballesteros takes strike one on the outside corner. Ballesteros singled his first time up back in the first inning. 1 pitch rather is low. That'll even the count a ball and a strike. Tong is already over the 50 pitch mark, and he hasn't even recorded an out here in the third inning. Mets used 7 pitchers in the game last night. 1-1 pitch down low, 2-1. Already the bullpen getting busy for the Mets. It's like the left-hander Richard Lovelady getting loose. Here's the 2-1. At the knees, strike two, and that evens the count 2-2 on Ballesteros. Suzuki on deck, as the Cubs have put 2 in here in the third and have 2 more in scoring position. Here's the 2-2 pitch. On the ground to third and through for a base hit. Another run will score. Happ will hold at third. It's 3-0 Cubs on an RBI single for Ballesteros. So once again, just like last night, it doesn't look like the starting pitcher is going to make it very far in this game for the Mets. That hit for Ballesteros was just past Vientos. They're at third base. And here's Suzuki. Suzuki, the 6th batter of the inning, takes on the inside corner for strike one. Suzuki 0 for 1 in this one so far. 0-1 pitch. Suzuki rips it fair down the left field line. This will score another run. Ballesteros to third. RBI double for Suzuki. It's 4-0 Cubs. And that's going to do it on the mound for Tong as Carlos Mendoza comes out. So Tong will not even record an out in the third inning, so he's only going to go 2+ tonight. He's given up 4 runs and is responsible for the 2 still on base. And it looks like we're going to see Lovelady come on to pitch for the Mets. So again, it's going to be a heavy bullpen night tonight for the Mets. It will be Lovelady coming in to pitch. He appears in for the 8th time in a Mets uniform. Coming over from Toronto, where he played only a couple games. Lovelady's ERA since coming over to the Mets, 6.75. As he has given up 6 earned runs in just 8 innings. As he's got a situation, he's got runners at second and third, nobody out still for the Cubs here in the bottom of the third. They put 4 across in the inning. So Tong only goes 2+, gave up 4 runs, all of them earned, and he's still responsible for the 2 on base. 7 hits, 2 walks, and 1 strikeout in 56 pitches. So Lovelady coming on to try to stop the bleeding here in the third inning. And the first pitch he throws is fouled back for strike 1. As the batter's Carson Kelly. Strike 1 pitch to Kelly is fouled away so quickly. Kelly's down in the count, 0-2. So David Peterson, the starting pitcher last night for the Mets, he didn't even make it out of the second. And tonight, Tong doesn't even record an out in the third. 0-2 is fouled off. So it has not been a series for the starting pitchers for the Mets in this one so far, although the Mets did win that game last night, 9-7, coming back from a 6-1 deficit. Here's the strike 2 pitch once again to Kelly. Swing and a miss, and a big first out there as Kelly goes down swinging. It'll bring up Pete Crow Armstrong. Pete Crow Armstrong comes in 0 for 1. Here's the pitch. Strike down the middle, 0-1. Strike 1 pitch. Pete Crow Armstrong sends it in the air. It's going to be playable out there. Is it deep enough to score a run? There's the tag by Ballesteros, and he will score on a sacrifice fly for Pete Crow Armstrong, and it's 5-0 Cubs. So that run is charged to Tong. It'll bring up Dansby Swanson here with 2 outs as the Cubs have now batted around here in the third inning. As Dansby Swanson, the 9th batter of the inning. Suzuki also advanced to third. with that fly ball to right and on the throw home. Strike one to Dansby Swanson. Swanson's 0 for 1 tonight. Strike one pitch. And Swanson, the appeal to first base, did not swing on the inside pitch. That'll even the count 1-1. Developing situation in Cincinnati, which I'll update you on at the half-inning break. The 1-1 pitch downstairs. 2-1 now the count on Dansby Swanson. The 2-1 pitch is foul. That evens the count 2-2. That one may have got a piece of Alvarez behind the plate. Like he's having a little joke back there, so it looks like he's all right. Home plate umpire just checking on the catcher Alvarez just to make sure he's fine, and he is. He says he's good. Here comes the 2-2 pitch to Dansby Swanson. Outside, and that will fill the count 3-2. Matt Shaw, who started this bottom of the third inning, is on deck. Here's the 3-2 payoff. Swing and a miss. Swanson goes down on strikes, and that finally ends the bottom of the third for the Mets. But the Cubs bat around and score 5 in the inning. We head to the fourth. It is now the Cubs 5 and the Mets nothing. So the final line on Tong, 2 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, all earned. Lovelady did a pretty good job of only allowing 1 other run to score since he came into the game there in relief. Developing situation in Cincinnati, it is 2-1 Pirates, and the Pirates have loaded the bases in the top of the 9th inning in Cincinnati. Again, one more time, worth repeating, the Mets come into the night 1 game up on the Reds and the Diamondbacks for that final wild card spot in the National League. Mets are trailing here 5-0. The Reds are trailing 2-1 to the Pirates. Diamondbacks get underway here in about 25 minutes at home against the Dodgers. So that is what's on the table tonight in the National League. As we are going down the final countdown of the regular season in Major League Baseball. Regular season will end on Sunday, and then the wild card round gets underway on Tuesday. The Cubs know they're going to be in that wild card round. If they can finish as the top spot in the wild card, they will host that series, which they are still in that number 1 wild card spot right now. Five teams in the National League are in. 1 spot remains. The Phillies, who are NL East champions, they clinched that over a week ago. The Phillies are in. The Brewers are in. The Cubs are in. The Dodgers are in. The Padres are in. Who is that final team from the National League? We head to the 4th inning in this one. 5-0 Cubs as they put up 5 there in the bottom of the third. 2, 3, and 4 due up for the Mets. Soto, Alonso, and Marte. And the first pitch is strike 1, as Boyd now works with a comfortable cushion on the mound. Strike one pitch. Inside corner. 0-2. The Pirates stranded the bases loaded in the top of the ninth in Cincinnati. So now the Reds come up down a run in the bottom of the ninth. Here's the 0-2 pitch. Down low, a ball and 2 strikes. One-two pitch from Boyd to Soto. In the air, left center field and shallow. Who wants it? It's going to be the shortstop calling. That's Dansby Swanson with the grab. One down here in the top of the fourth. And here's Pete Alonso. Alonso, a strikeout victim his first time up. The Mets down 5 here, but they trailed 6-1 last night and came back and won. Can they do it for a second night in a row? Here's the 1-0 pitch. As the first pitch missed inside. Swing and a miss. Counts even now 1-1 to Alonso. One. That hits the outside corner for strike 2. A ball and 2 strikes now on Pete Alonso. Boyd's 1-2 pitch. On the ground to third. Easy play across the diamond for out number 2 here in the top of the 4th inning. Brings up the DH, Starling Marte. And in Cincinnati, Tyler Stevenson has just hit a game-tying home run in the bottom of the 9th for the Reds. So that is now 2-2 in the bottom of the 9th. This one's hit into left center field pretty well. And at the edge of the warning track, Happ with the grab, excuse me. And the Mets retired 1-2-3 in the top of the 4th. On to the bottom of the 4th. It's still the Cubs 5, the Mets nothing. It'll be 9-1-2 for the Cubs. Shaw, Bush, and Horner in the bottom of the 4th. So the Reds have come back to tie the Pirates. If they come back and win that game, and the Mets do not come back tonight, we have a tie once again for that 3rd and final wild card spot. I'm looking up what the season series was between the Reds and the Mets. Mets. Apologies there, folks. Looked like I lost connection for just a moment, but I think I'm back going now. So in case you didn't hear that, and when the brief loss of connection, if the Reds and Mets end up tied for that final wild card spot, the Reds won the season series. So the Reds do own the tiebreak against the Mets. Of course, we've got Arizona still in the mix here too, so we've still got a lot to be decided here in this last 5 days. Here we go to the bottom of the 4th. Cubs leading this game 5-0. Matt Shaw is going to lead it off for the Cubs in the bottom of the 4th. Shaw singled and scored in that 5-run third inning for the Cubs. First pitch, bottom of the fourth, is a strike. Strike one pitch is upstairs, 1-1 now. One pitch. Shaw sends it pretty well into left center field. Back it goes and gone. Shaw sends it into the left center field bleachers. And it's now 6-0 Cubs. Shaw's 13th home run of the season. And the Cubs adding some insurance. So here's the top of the order, Bush. It's 1-for-1 with a double. He's reached on a walk. And he also scored in that 5-run third inning. Takes a strike here. Strike one pitch is outside, a ball and a strike. Reds do not get any more in the bottom of the ninth, so that game is 2-2 heading to extra innings. Pitch is lined into left field, and a diving catch out there in left field by Brandon Nimmo. Nice sliding grab out there for the first out. It brings up Nico Hoerner. Hoerner 1-for-1. Singled and reached on a walk. And scored. Pitch down low for ball one. Ball 1-0 pitch is a strike. Evens the count 1-1. Swing and a miss on the 1-1 pitch. Now 1-2 the count on Hoerner. One-two pitch on the way to Nico Hoerner. Downstairs, that'll even the count 2-2. Two is a diving play at third base. Long throw across in time. Great play there by Vientos at third base. And gunned over to first base to retire Nico Hoerner for out number 2. It'll bring up Ian Happ. Happ 1-for-2 with a 2-run double back in the third. Base is empty and 2 outs. Alvarez going out to have a word with his pitcher. And we're set to go. Looks like Clay Holmes is warming up for the Mets in the bullpen. Here's the pitch to Ian Happ, ball one. One zero is on the ground to short. Throw over to first to retire the Cubs here in the bottom of the fourth, but another run on the solo home run by Shaw to lead off the bottom of the fourth. We head to the fifth at Wrigley. It's all Cubs in this one as they lead at 6-0. As for the Mets here in the fifth, it's going to be Vientos, Nimmo, and Alvarez. As they need quite a rally like they had in last night's game. In that battle for the AL Central lead, Tigers still trail Cleveland 3-1. That game now in the bottom of the seventh. So we are heading to the fifth. Mets still looking for their first hit in this game. They've only had one base runner so far, and that was a walk to Alvarez, the catcher. That's the only base runner the Mets have had through four against Boyd. Keeping an eye on that Pirates-Reds game, and an RBI double in the top of the 10th has given the Pirates the lead over Cincinnati 3-2. So that's good news for the Mets. Remember, the Reds will be up in the bottom of the 10th. Hopefully for them, still trailing by just the run. So we head here to the top of the fifth inning. Vientos will lead it off here in the top of the fifth for the Mets. And a ball outside. Vientos a strikeout victim his first time against Boyd. And the 1-0 pitch. Outside again, it's 2-0. Pitch to Vientos. There's a strike on the inside corner. 2-1 now. Boyd to deliver pitch number 60. Vientos off the third baseman and into left field. That was a high hop. That's probably going to be the first hit of the game for the Mets. That took a high hop off the glove of Shaw at third. That was a rocket. So the Mets have their second base runner of the game, and that has scored a hit. A strike. To the batter, Brandon Nimmo. Oh, 1 pitch. Outside. That'll even the count 1-1. Boyd looks in and delivers the 1-1 pitch. Inside corner, strike 2. Ball and 2 strikes, the count on Nimmo. Vientos the lead from first, and the 1-2 pitch to Nimmo. Downstairs, 2-2. Very small lead at first for Vientos. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss for strike 3. Nimmo goes down on strikes. Strikeout number 3 on the night for Boyd. 1 out here in the Mets' 5th inning. And it brings up Alvarez, who before this inning was the only base runner the Mets had through the first 4. It was a walk back in the 3rd. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Boyd is currently at the 66 pitch mark with 1 out here in the 5th. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Upstairs, the ball on a strike. Mets will need a big rally again tonight like they had last night. Last night's deficit was a 5-run comeback. This would be a 6-run comeback. 1-1 pitch. Hit in the air, right side, and foul for strike 2. Boyd's 1-2 pitch to Alvarez. Alvarez fouls it off to stay alive. Probably going to see Clay Holmes come in to pitch for the Mets in the bottom of the 5th. The pitch from Boyd on the 1-2 is low, and it is now 2-2. Two-two pitch instead of throw to first. Vientos back. Two-two pitch from Boyd. That is drilled to left center and deep back, and that is a blast and gone to left center field. 2-run home run for Francisco Alvarez, his 11th of the season. RBIs 31 and 32, and it's a 6-2 ball game. McNeil will be the batter. That was a no-doubter from Alvarez. That was about halfway up the bleachers in left center field. So the Mets are on the board. McNeil takes ball 1. One-zero pitch, swing and a miss. 1-1. 1-1 to McNeil. Outside, 2-1. They're just about 5 minutes away from first pitch in Arizona between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers. 2-1 to McNeil, a swing and a miss, 2-2. Here comes the 2-2. It hits McNeil on the 2-2 pitch. So McNeil is hit by the pitch. And it will bring up Tyrone Taylor. So Boyd, who was in cruise control through the first 4 innings, has hit a roadblock here in the 5th. Pitching coach Tommy Hatovi out to have a word with Boyd. So here's Taylor. 0 for 1 on the night. And a strike. Boyd's 0-1 to Taylor. McNeil the lead at first. That is bunted in the air and foul. 0-2 now on Taylor. O2 pitch to Taylor, and another throw to first. O2 pitch. Foul ball. That got a piece of Taylor in the box. He's going to try and walk that one off. Still 0-2. Boyd looks in and gets set to deliver another 0-2 pitch to Taylor. McNeil, the runner at first, 2 already in for the Mets on Alvarez home run here in the 5th. Here's the 0-2. Fouled away again. Lindor, the top of the order for the Mets, is on deck. Pitch number 81 for Boyd. That's hit right to the shortstop. And the catch made by Dansby Swanson for the second out. That was hit on a line drive right to Swanson. And here's Lindor, the top of the order for the Mets. Lindor 0 for 2 tonight. Takes strike 1. And time called before the 0-1 pitch. Here comes Boyd's 0-1. Lindor hits it in the air to right, barely having to move out there in right field. The catch made by Suzuki for out number 3, but the Alvarez home run gets the Mets on the board. As we head to the bottom of the 5th, it's still the Cubs leading the Mets 6-2. For the Cubs here in the bottom of the 5th, it'll be the middle of the order. Ballesteros, Suzuki, and Kelly. Against what I assume is going to be Clay Holmes coming into the game, but we'll see. Six runs, 8 hits for the Cubs, 2 runs, 2 hits for the Mets so far. Update on that game in Cincinnati. The Reds have answered the Pirates' run in the top of the 10th with a run in the bottom half themselves, so that is tied once again, 3-3. Cleveland has added to their lead over Detroit. It's now 5-1 in the 8th inning. Cleveland just 2 innings away from taking the lead, incredibly, in the AL Central. They trailed by 15 games at the beginning of August. They trailed by 11 at the beginning of this month. And they are just 2 innings away from taking the lead in the division. That would be one of the more miraculous division wins. If Cleveland pulls that AL Central out, that's going to be one of the more miraculous division wins in recent memory. So the 4, 5, and 6 hitters for the Cubs, it's going to be Ballesteros to lead it off here in the bottom of the 5th with the Cubs leading 6-2. And it looks like Lovelady's going to be back out there to pitch his 3rd inning of relief for the Mets. He's done very well in his first 2 innings, only given up a hit. Did give up the home run last inning. Ballesteros 2 for 2 tonight. He singled twice and drove in a run. Check swing over to third. No swing, says third base umpire. Ballesteros swings and misses. Here comes the delivery from Lovelady to Ballesteros outside. The pitch downstairs. Here's the pitch. That is low for ball 4, and Ballesteros reaches base for the 3rd time tonight. A leadoff walk here in the bottom of the 5th. And it brings up Suzuki. Suzuki 1 for 2 with a double. And an RBI. And that's going to do it on the mound, it looks like, for Lovelady. And it will be Clay Holmes coming in. So Lovelady goes 2+. 1 hit, 1 run allowed. It was earned. 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. He is responsible for Ballesteros at first base. And Holmes coming in relief for just the second time this year. 11-8 record, 3.69 ERA, 63 walks, 127 strikeouts, and 158 2/3 innings. He's the Mets' number 2 pitcher, but they're bringing him in out of the bullpen tonight. With each game very, very important for the Mets. When you got 2 teams right directly behind you in the playoff race. So Clay Holmes inherits a runner at first, nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th. Suzuki will be the batter. So Clay Holmes finishes his warm-up tosses and is set to go to face Suzuki. And the pitch. Suzuki swings and misses for strike 1. Oh, 1 to Suzuki. Swing and a miss again, and it's quickly 0-2. Oh, 2 pitch is a bouncer to third, and the throw over to first in time to retire Suzuki, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the 5th. Ballesteros advances to second. And here comes Carson Kelly. Kelly is 0 for 2 tonight. Ballesteros, the runner at second, and the pitch to Kelly is right down the middle for strike 1. Oh, 1 pitch. Up the middle, but fielded there. And the throw over to first in time for the second out. Lindor gobbled up that ground ball and threw to first in time to retire Carson Kelly for the second out. And here comes Pete Crow Armstrong. Armstrong 0 for 1. He does have a sacrifice fly. Pete Crow Armstrong hits it foul first base side for strike 1. Looking ahead to the Mets' 6th inning, it's going to be the 2, 3, and 4 hitters. Soto, Alonso, and Marte. Strike 1 pitch is foul, and it's quickly 0-2 on Pete Crow Armstrong. Clay Holmes set to deliver an 0-2 pitch to Pete Crow Armstrong. Downstairs, ball and 2 strikes now. 1-2 pitch. Bouncer to third. Vientos across the diamond. A bad throw. This is going to get Ballesteros home. As the ball hits out of play, Pete Crow Armstrong heads to second. It's 7-2 Cubs. So an error by Vientos, throwing error, allows Ballesteros to come in, and the Cubs get one of those 2 runs they lost in the top of this inning back. That was on a bounce to Alonso. He couldn't quite handle it. Here's Dansby Swanson. That run is charged to Lovelady, so the line is complete on him now. 2+ innings pitch, 1 hit, 2 runs, just 1 earned, 1 walk and 2 strikeouts. Swanson started off by taking a ball on the first pitch. And here's the 1-0 pitch, the turn, and the pickoff throw to second. Pete Crow Armstrong dives back in. One-0 pitch from Holmes. Bounces up. It's going to be a wild pitch. And Pete Crow Armstrong will head to third. He's coming around. The throw home and gets away, and Armstrong scores. Pete Crow Armstrong scores on a wild pitch from second base. And it's 8-2 Cubs. It was a wild pitch that went back to the backstop. Alvarez wasn't exactly hustling for that ball back to the backstop, and Pete Crow Armstrong realized that. And then Armstrong's throw to try to get Pete Crow Armstrong went back to the pitcher's mound. And the Cubs are back to their 6-run lead again. Swing and a miss here on the 2-0 for Dansby Swanson. It's now 2-1. Two-one pitch from Holmes hit foul, and that'll even the count 2-2. Two-two. A bouncer up the middle, and the throw over to first in time, as that was fielded by the second base McNeil, and the throw to first. But the Cubs get the 2 back they lost in the top of the 5th. We head to the 6th. It's the Cubs 8 and the Mets 2. And again, it'll be 2, 3, and 4 for the Mets. Soto, Alonso, and Marte here in the top of the 6th. They're back in a 6-run hole again. Headed to the 11th in Cincinnati, and the Pirates just scored a run in the top of the 11th, so they are back in front of the Reds, 4-3. In the 9th in Cleveland, Cleveland leading the Tigers 5-1. So unless the Tigers have a 4-run rally, Cleveland is going to take over first place in the American League Central after trailing by 11 games at the beginning of September. Dodgers scored a run in the top of the 1st in Arizona, so the Dodgers lead that game 1-0. The Mariners have scored 3 in the bottom of the 1st against the Rockies. Again, a Mariners win gives them the AL West title. So here we head to the 6th inning, the Mets trailing 8-2. Boyd for the Cubs, the starting pitcher's at 83 pitches, so he will probably be back out here for the 6th. The Mets tried to get a rally started there in the top of the 5th inning with 2 runs, but the Cubs answered with 2 right back. The Alvarez 2-run home run in the top of the 5th got the Mets on the board. So here's Juan Soto to lead off the top of the 6th. He's 0 for 2 tonight. As Boyd is back out for the 6th for the Cubs on the mound. First pitch, top 6, strike 1. Oh, 1 is foul. Soto's down 0-2. The Phillies in their game over tonight over the Marlins, they won that game 11-1. But the story of that game is the Phillies hit 8 home runs in that game. 3 for Sosa, 2 for Schwarber. Eight home runs for the Phillies tonight. Phillies clinched the NL East over a week ago. Soto, the 0-2 pitch is a little popper to first base, fielded by Bush. And there's the first out in the top of the 6th. Brings up Pete Alonso. Alonso 0 for 2 tonight. Soto was shaking his left hand after that swing. That's going to be the end of the night for Boyd on the mound. So Boyd goes 5 1/3 tonight, gives up just 2 hits. 2 runs, they were both earned. 1 walk and 3 strikeouts. He threw 86 pitches. But he will be relieved after 5 1/3 innings. He stands to get the win. That would be win number 14 for him this year if the Cubs can hang on here. And the new Cubs pitcher is Daniel Palencia. He's on for the 53rd time, 1-6 record, an ERA of 3 flat. He's walked 15, struck out 53 in 47 1/3 innings. It has just gone final in Cleveland. Cleveland has beat the Tigers 5-1. So Cleveland has officially come back from an 11-game deficit in the AL Central at the beginning of this month to now take the outright lead in the division. As I mentioned earlier, this would be one of the more improbable division wins in recent memory in Major League Baseball. The Tigers led Cleveland by 15 games at the beginning of August. And like I said, 11 at the beginning of the month. And now with 5 days left, 4 games left now for both those teams, Cleveland now has a 1-game lead. Incredible. Diamondbacks answered the Dodgers' run in the top of the first with a run in the bottom half, so that's 1-1 going to the second. So here's Palencia, and the first pitch he throws is a ball. To the batter, Pete Alonso. 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss, 100 miles an hour on the fastball. Comes the 1-1. Alonso fouls it back. He's now in the hole 1-2. One-two pitch. Foul back. Alonso stays alive. One-two pitch. In the air to center field. Playable out there. 4 out number 2. The catch made by Pete Crow Armstrong. And here comes Starling Marte, who's 0 for 2. What would be more incredible in that for that Tigers team that led Cleveland by 11 games at the beginning of the month? The Tigers are now in the wild card picture since they lost the division lead, and they're only a game difference in the wild card. So the Tigers could go from an 11-game division lead to out of the playoffs. One-zero pitch to Marte is drilled, but foul left field side, and it's 1-1. One-one. Swing and a miss. 1-2. The count on Marte. One-two pitch. Downstairs, 2-2. Here comes the 2-2. Swing and a miss, strike 3, and that does it for the Mets in the top of the 6th. On we go to the bottom of the 6th at Wrigley. Cubs leading at 8-2. It's going to be 9-1 and 2. Matt Shaw, and then the top of the order, Michael Busch and Nico Horner due up in the bottom of the 6th. There is more sports news than Major League Baseball, and a little bit of other news around the sports world. Of course, the NFL starts their international games this weekend, playing in Dublin, Ireland, the Vikings and the Steelers in that first international game this year. And a lot of big college football games coming up this weekend. Oregon, Penn State, the featured game, a top 6 matchup in the Big Ten. I will have 2 college football live streams on my page on Saturday, starting an FCS matchup. Number 10, Lehigh, hosting Penn. And then Alabama, Georgia, Saturday night on the live stream. So that's the upcoming live stream schedule on my page, and it will be with you Sunday night as well. Sunday night NFL game, Packers and Cowboys. Micah Parsons returning to Dallas as now a member of the Green Bay Packers. So here we go, the bottom of the 6th. It is all Cubs tonight, 8-2. Matt Shaw will lead it off. It's 2 for 2. Solo home run back in the 4th inning. He's also singled. New Mets pitcher as well, the 4th pitcher of the night. It's going to be Sean Manaea. And the first pitch is a ball. Sean Manaea in his 14th game of the season. He's 2-4 record. That's hit into left field, and Matt Shaw has his 3rd hit of the night, a leadoff single here in the bottom of the 6th. Manaea coming in with a 2-4 record, 5.59 ERA. Walked 10, struck out 71 in 58 innings. As the bullpen for the Mets, at least here in the second half of the season, been a little on the sketchy side. And now Shaw takes off for second, and he steals second base. So Matt Shaw was stolen base number 17 on the year. Swipe that pretty easily. 1-0 pitch is a strike to Bush. Bush is 1 for 2 with a double. He's also reached on a walk. 1-1 pitch. That is drilled deep to right. Back it goes and gone. Bush sends it out to right center field. And the Cubs have 10 on the board tonight. Home run number 31 for Michael Bush. RBIs 83 and 84. 10-2 Cubs here in the 6th. And some lady very happy in the right field bleachers getting a souvenir of that home run ball. Nico Hoerner, the batter, takes inside for ball 1. One-oh pitch, that's in the air. Just off the infield grass there in short center field. The catch made by the second baseman McNeil for out number 2. Or I beg your pardon, for out number 1. Here's Ian Happ. Happ on the night is 1 for 3. And Happ takes a strike, 0-1. Oh, 1 pitch to Happ, swing and a miss. It's now 0-2. The count on Ian Happ. Manaea working very quickly, and the 0-2 misses low. It's now a ball and 2 strikes. 1-2 from Manaea. Bounce to short. Fielded there by Lindor, and the throw over to first for out number 2. Brings up the cleanup hitter Ballesteros. What a night he's had. Ballesteros 2 for 2. He's also reached on a walk, so he's reached base 3 times tonight. Strike 1. That pitch misses downstairs to Ballesteros. Now 1-1. 1-1 pitch, swing and a miss. Now 1-2. So the Mets will have 9 outs to work with here, but now in an 8-run hole. The 1-2 pitch outside to Ballesteros. That evens the count 2-2. For the second straight night, the Mets had to go into the bullpen early as Ballesteros strikes out here, and that's the end of the 6th. But the Michael Busch home run adds 2 more runs for the Cubs, and we head to the 7th inning. All Cubs tonight. They lead the Mets 10-2. It'll be the 5, 6, and 7 hitters for the Mets: Vientos, Nimmo, and Alvarez in the top of the 7th inning. Update on that game in Cincinnati. It is still 4-3 Pirates. The Reds have runners at first and second with 1 out in the bottom of the 11th. Worth noting one more time, the Mets come into the night with a 1-game lead for that final wild card spot over the Reds and the Diamondbacks. Reds are down a run in the 11th. Diamondbacks are tied with the Dodgers 1-1, bottom of the 2nd. The Mets, at least tonight, unless they have another big rally in them, looks like they're going to have to count on other teams giving them some help tonight. Vientos will be the leadoff batter for the Mets here in the top of the 7th. The Mets have 9 outs to play with here, but trailing 10-2. 5 in the 3rd for the Cubs, a run in the 4th. Mets got their 2 in the 5th. Cubs answered with 2 in the bottom of the 5th, and then 2 in the bottom of the 6th for the Cubs. That's how we've gotten to our 10-2 score. Mets winning the opener of this series last night, 9-7. Third pitcher of the game for the Cubs as we see a new pitcher. Okay, who this is here momentarily. Starts with a strike. 0-1 pitch is outside. I'm not real familiar with this pitcher, so I hope I get this pronunciation right. Aaron Civale is the new Cubs pitcher. He's only on for the 5th time as a member of the Cubs. Misses outside here, 2-1. Civale came over from Milwaukee. 2-1 is foul. 2-2 the count. And it has just gone final in Cincinnati. The Pirates have won it 4-3. There's a strikeout of Vientos for the first out. So the Reds will not be able to gain any ground tonight. They're going to, it looks like, stay 1 game back of the Mets, as the Reds have lost the first 2 against the Pirates. Those are teams you need to beat. 1 down in the inning here, and here's Brandon Nimmo. And he takes a strike at the knees. Nimmo 0 for 2 tonight. Nimmo steps back in and awaits the 0-1 pitch. That is lined into right field. That's going to fall for a base hit in front of Suzuki. So Nimmo has himself a 1-out single here in the top of the 7th inning. It's the 3rd hit of the game for the Mets tonight. And here's Alvarez. Alvarez hit the 2-run home run in the 5th inning that's gotten the Mets their 2 runs tonight. And the pitch is outside to Alvarez for ball 1. Alvarez has also reached on a walk, so he's reached base twice. 1-0 pitch to Alvarez. That's in the strike zone on the outside corner, 1-1. Nimmo standing at first with 1 out, and the 1-1 to Alvarez. Swing and a miss. Ball and 2 strikes. McNeil on deck. One-two pitch to Alvarez, outside and low, 2-2. Two balls, 2 strikes, the count on Alvarez, and here is the 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Alvarez goes down swinging for out number 2. And it will bring up McNeil. McNeil 0 for 1. He was hit by a pitch his last at bat. So Nimmo still stands at first with 2 outs for the Mets here in the 7th. And here's the pitch to McNeil. That hits the outside corner, strike 1. Oh, 1 pitch to McNeil. In the air to right, Suzuki right there in right center field to make the catch and end the Mets top of the 7th. They strand a runner at first. Stretch time at Wrigley. All Cubs tonight. They lead the Mets 10-2. It's going to be the 5, 6, and 7 hitters for the Cubs. Suzuki, Kelly, and Pete Crow Armstrong due up in the bottom of the 7th. As the Cubs are 6 outs away from snapping their 5-game losing streak and picking up win number 89 on the season. And again, if the Cubs can stay in that number 1 wild card spot, they will get to host the wild card series. See if Mania will be back out for the 7th inning or if the Mets will go to the bullpen for the 4th time tonight. Suzuki will lead it off here in the bottom of the 7th. He is 1 for 3. The double and an RBI. Again, I will be back with you for the live stream of the wild card round coming up on Tuesday. Again, obviously not sure what game that's going to be yet. I have to wait to get the matchups or what time. But I will be with you for at least one of the wild card games on Tuesday. We already know the Cubs are going to be in that wild card round. Question is, who will their opponent be? First pitch, bottom 7. It is a new Mets pitcher. Fifth pitcher of the night. Ryan Helsley is the Mets pitcher. That's a bouncer to third. Vientos over to first, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the 7th. Batters Carson Kelly. Hitless in 3 at-bats tonight. First pitch to Kelly is strike 1. Seventh inning stretch singer at Wrigley Field tonight was Ben Zobrist. Ben Zobrist, member of the Cubs World Series championship team back in 2016. He got the honor of singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" at the stretch tonight. 0-1 to Kelly is fouled back, and he's quickly down 0-2. Oh, 2 to Kelly right down the middle, strike 3, and he knew it. He started walking back to the dugout before the strike 3 signal was even given. So with 2 outs, it brings up Pete Crow Armstrong. 0 for 2. He does have a sacrifice fly, and he scored a run, swing and a miss. He reached on the error. And he's the one that came around that scored from second base on the wild pitch. One pitch. That's fouled away, and it's now 1-2. The count on Pete Crow Armstrong. One-two pitch. Bouncer to third. Vientos there. Throw over to first. And a 1-2-3. Bottom of the 7th for Helsley. On we go to the 8th at Wrigley. Cubs 10, Mets 2. It'll be Taylor and then the top of the order, Lindor and Soto. In the top of the 8th for the Mets with just 6 outs to work with. And an 8-run deficit. I've been mentioning all night, of course, the wild card race here in the National League. Been keeping an eye on that red score all night. I haven't even mentioned this over in the AL East. The Blue Jays lose at home to the Red Sox tonight, 7-1. Couple that with the Yankees' 8-1 win over the White Sox. The Yankees have tied the Blue Jays for first place in the AL East. So looking at all the other pennant races, I failed to mention that one. So the Blue Jays and Yankees now tied for first. Now the Blue Jays do hold the tiebreak over the Yankees as a result of winning the regular season series. But those two teams in a battle for the AL East title. Blue Jays and Red Sox have one more game tomorrow, as do the Yankees and White Sox. Yankees close out their regular season with a 3-game series at home against the Orioles. Blue Jays will close out their regular season with a 3-game series at home against the Rays. Mariners still leading the Rockies 5-0. Bottom of the third, and again, this worth repeating, a Mariners win gives them the AL West title. So in the American League, we are down to 5 days left in the regular season. Not a single division has been decided, at least yet. We could have one tonight in the AL West. So here's Taylor to lead off the top of the 8th for the Mets. First pitch, top 8, is high for ball 1. Savali back out to pitch the 8th here for the Cubs. The 1-0 pitch by Taylor popped up on the infield. And calling for it is the third baseman Shaw, and he's got it for out number 1. We do have a new catcher into the ballgame for the Cubs, replacing Carson Kelly. Reese McGuire, the new catcher for the Cubs. It's the top of the order for Lindor. 0 for 3 tonight. And takes one a little outside for ball 1. One-0 pitch. That hits the outside corner for strike 1, a ball and a strike. Lindor in the air, foul territory, and that will get out of play. 1-2. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. That bounces. Counts even, 2-2. Two-two pitch to Lindor from Savali. Outside, and that will fill the count, 3-2. Payoff pitch to Lindor is in the air to right. Suzuki coming on medium depth right field, and Suzuki makes the catch for out number 2 here in the top of the 8th. Brings up Juan Soto. Soto has an 0 for 3 night going. Mets have only managed 3 hits tonight against Cubs pitching. So not a big offensively productive night for the Mets. The pitch to Soto is up in the strike zone. Strike one. Strike one pitch to Soto is fouled away, and he's quickly down in the count 0-2. Soto steps back in the box and awaits Savali's 0-2 pitch. And here it is. Soto sends it in the air, left center. Back it goes, and Soto has hit one out to left center field. Juan Soto goes deep for the 43rd time this year. RBI number 105, and it makes it 10-3 here in the 8th. Boy, Soto gave that one a ride to left center. And it will bring up Pete Alonso, who is 0 for 3 on the night. Take strike one. Strike one pitch. That hits the outside corner, and Alonso down in the count, 0-2. Oh, 2 pitch to Alonso. Bounced foul, third base side, and we'll do it again. Oh, 2 pitch once again to Alonso outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One-two pitch. Swing and a miss. Alonso goes down on strikes, and that does it for the Mets in the 8th. They do get a run on the Soto home run, but they still trail this game 10-3 as we head to the bottom of the 8th inning. For the Cubs, it's going to be Swanson, Shaw, and then the top of the order, Bush. In the bottom of the 8th inning, still with a comfortable lead in this one. And we will see what the Mets do as far as pitchers go here in the bottom of the 8th. They used 7 pitchers yesterday. They've used 5 tonight. And the bullpen, as I mentioned, the Mets has been a little sketchy as of late. They've had to go deep into the bullpen these last 2 nights. These 2 teams play the finale of this 3-game series tomorrow before getting set for their final series of the regular season. Cubs already know they're going to the postseason. The Mets would like to be. The Mets got help with the Reds losing tonight. So they will, at the very worst, still be a game up on the Reds. Diamondbacks are 1-1 with the Dodgers in the top of the 4th. If Arizona wins that game, they tie the Mets for that final wild card spot. Assuming the Mets do not have a 7-run rally in the 9th inning in them. So on we go to the bottom of the 8th inning. It's going to be Dansby Swanson leading it off for the Cubs. He's 0 for 3 tonight. As the crowd still packed in at Wrigley on a Wednesday night. Helsley is back out for the 8th for the Mets. And the pitch to Swanson is a swing and a miss for strike one. Swanson will be followed by Shaw and then the top of the order, Bush, here in the bottom of the 8th. Oh, 1 pitch is low, 1-1. Swing and a miss here, and the count now goes to 1-2 on Swanson. Helsley looks in and delivers the 1-2 pitch to Swanson. Off the end of the bat and into center field for a base hit. Dansby Swanson with his first hit of the night. A leadoff single for the Cubs in the 8th. And it will bring up Shaw, who has a perfect 3 for 3 night going. Two singles and a home run for Shaw. Helsley's pitch. Up and in, ball 1. Helsley looks in and delivers the 1-0 pitch to Shaw. That's at the knees, strike 1, a ball and a strike. One pitch. That bounces, 2-1 the count. Shaw steps back in, and now time called. Helsley looks in on Shaw as we reset now, and the 2-1 pitch. That is drilled to left and a foul ball. Just not able to keep that fair. That was easily going to be a double. Two and two, the count. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Called strike 3 on the high part of the zone. That's out number 2. And the batter is the top of the order, Michael Busch. Busch steps up 2 for 3 tonight. Takes low for ball 1. Bush has homered and doubled tonight. Has drove in 2 runs. 1-0 pitch. Bush in the air. Left field. Long run out there, but getting to it out there in left field for the catch is Nimmo, and that is out number 2. Brings up Nico Hoerner. Hoerner 1 for 3 tonight. And a strike to Hoerner. Looking ahead to the Mets' 9th inning, it's going to be the middle of the order. Marte, Vientos, and Nimmo due up. They're going to need at least 7. Strike 1 pitch. Downstairs, a ball and a strike. One. Strike 2. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the 1-2. Off the end of the bat, hit to short. The short route over to second, and that'll do it for the Cubs in the 8th. Last chance for the Mets with the 4, 5, and 6 hitters coming up. Cubs lead this game 10-3. An update on that Diamondbacks-Dodgers game. The Dodgers have scored 2 in the top of the 4th. A 2-run home run by Pages has put the Dodgers ahead of the Diamondbacks 3-1. That game's in the 4th. And here we head to the top of the 9th inning. Cubs leading the Mets 10-3. Mets have already gotten help from the Pirates. They beat the Reds tonight. And hoping to get help from the Dodgers against Arizona. Seeing who's coming on to pitch for the Cubs in the 9th, if they're going to let Savali try to close this out. Savali's gone 2 innings already and has thrown 30 pitches. And with a 7-run lead, it's definitely not a save situation. Cubs have used 3 pitchers so far tonight. Mets have used 5. The Mets have used a lot of pitchers these last 2 games. It will be Savali. He will get a chance to close this out here in the 9th inning. Marte leading it off. Swing and a miss to lead off the top of the 9th inning. Strike 1 on Marte. 0-1 pitch. Outside, a ball and a strike. One pitch, bounce to third. Long throw across in time. Marte retired for the first out of the ninth. Here's Vientos. 1 for 3 with a single, and he scored on the Alvarez 2-run homer in the fifth. That's a foul ball for strike one. That's up the middle, backhanded, and the throw across in time for out number 2. That was backhanded there at second base by Horner. And definitely throws it over in plenty of time, and the Mets down to their final out tonight. It's going to be up to Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo 1 for 3. The last chance tonight for the Mets. Crowd rises at Wrigley. Nimmo takes ball 1. The 1-0 pitch from Civale to Nimmo. Misses outside. It's 2-0. Two-0 pitch. There's a strike. So the Cubs, if they can pick up 2 more wins in their last 4 games, will be guaranteed to host the wild card round. Swing and a miss on the 2-1 pitch, and now the Mets are down to their final strike. Two-two pitch to Nimmo. On the ground to short, should do it. Over to first, and that does it. The Cubs snap their 5-game losing streak as they beat the Mets tonight, 10-3. The Mets stay 1 game ahead of the Reds for that final wild card spot, and we'll see what the Diamondbacks do. Diamondbacks are losing at the moment. The Cubs improve to 89-69 on the season. The Mets fall to 81-77. 1 more game to go in this series between these two teams. 10 runs, 11 hits, no errors for the Cubs. 3 runs, 4 hits, 1 error for the Mets. Boyd gets the win. He's now 14-8, and I need to correct something about what I said. Civale does get the save here because he pitched over 2 innings, so Civale does get his first save. Tong gets the loss for the Mets as they fall to 2-3. And the Cubs now need 2 more wins, as I mentioned, to get to host the wild card round at Wrigley. Let's give one last look at the full Major League scoreboard before I sign off of here tonight. Finals. No playoffs on the line here, but the Nationals beat the Braves 4-3. That did snap the Braves' 10-game winning streak. Brewers 3, Padres 1. Brewers with win number 96 sets a franchise record. They're 2.5 up on the Phillies for the best record in the National League. Rays beat the Orioles 6-2. Again, no playoff implications there. Cleveland 5-1 over Detroit. Cleveland has officially erased an 11-game deficit at the beginning of the month to take the 1-game lead in the AL Central. Pirates beat the Reds 4-3. Reds have lost the first 2 of that series. Phillies 11-1 over the Marlins. Phillies hit 8 home runs in that game. Yankees beat the White Sox 8-1, and the Red Sox beat the Blue Jays 7-1. So the Yankees and Blue Jays are tied atop the AL East. Rangers 4, Twins 2. Of course, 10-3 here. The Cubs over the Mets. Other scores, Angels lead the Royals 3-1, top of the 5th. Mariners 7-1 over the Rockies. If the Mariners can hang on to that game, they win the AL West. Dodgers 3, Diamondbacks 1. That's in the bottom of the 4th. Giants lead the Cardinals 3-2, and the A's lead the Astros 1-0. So the Mariners would clinch the AL West anyway if the Astros would lose that game. Again, here it's 10-3. Cubs beat the Mets. Again, my name is John, Sports Bonanza John here on YouTube. If you like my content, would appreciate a like and subscribe. It would really help out a lot. Also on Kick tonight, it's Sports Kick John. I do also have content on Twitch. Was not on there tonight, but Sport Guru John is my Twitch address. Again, be with you on Saturday for a college football doubleheader live stream. Number starts with an FCS matchup. Number 10, Lehigh hosting Penn, and then Alabama, Georgia on Saturday night. The 2 college football live streams I will be doing on the page for you on Saturday. And we'll have a wild card action on this live stream coming up next Tuesday. Once the schedule is finalized, I'll be on here to tell you what game or games I'll be doing in that. Appreciate everybody. Again, I will talk to you on Saturday for a college football doubleheader on the live stream.